All right, everybody, welcome into our weather update here about the winter storm that we have moving through this afternoon or this morning and into the afternoon hours here. The time is now 12 o'clock p.m. on January the 24th, 2026. So I wanted to start off this update by, just going over some headlines and then looking at the radar, and then we'll get into some other stuff as well. Um, so, weather headlines for right now: widespread sleet and snow is ongoing across the region. Freezing rain is now starting to creep in from the south. And I do have some good news about the freezing rain. We'll talk about that here in just a second. And a transition to all rain is still expected this evening and into tonight across pretty much the entire area. And we'll look at the latest feature cast that shows that very nicely here. So let's go ahead and move on to our next one here. Okay, so winter storm threats. We're still watching for a high impact on freezing rain, especially this afternoon and into this evening. Weather travel impacts are very likely, especially right now. I mean, if you look outside your window, probably the street is frozen over or it's white, right? So, especially Saturday and again on Sunday night is when I'm expecting really big really big travel impacts. And then there is a medium threat for power outages across the region still, especially where we get some of those heavier ice accumulations, and tree damage is also in the medium category as well. So, I do want to look at the latest alerts, and then we're going to go over and look at the current radar. So, the current alerts we still have a winter storm warning in place for Murray, Marshall, Bedford, Coffee, and Grundy County. And then just off to the south, we have a winter weather advisory for a little bit less accumulation for Franklin and Moore County in southern Middle Tennessee. So let's go ahead and look here at the analysis screen and show what is going on across our area right now. And you can see here it's a little bit of everything. So the blue, I want to preface by saying that the blue is more than likely going to be sleet and not very much snow at this point, and a lot of sleet across the area. But you see these pinks down here. That's where I'm starting to think some freezing rain is starting to move into the region. Okay, so we're already seeing a change over here to freezing rain in Grundy County, um, southeastern Coffee County, also getting in on this. Franklin County, a good portion of Franklin County, seeing maybe some freezing drizzle. There's not much activity going on there, but you are in the zone where we're starting to see that transition over towards more freezing rain, and then that also extends off towards the west as well. Now, one thing again I want to say is. We do have a little dry slot that is moving into the region. Let me go ahead and show this was not well modeled with the model guidance that I had, but we do have a little bit of a dry slot trying to show up. This is the national radar, so we can see kind of a little bit of everything here. And if I put this in motion, you'll notice that this is kind of moving off towards the north and east. And then this stuff here is moving off towards the north and east as well. So, what I think is going to happen here is this little dry slot that we have, where dry air is just kind of, sitting over over Alabama right now. That dry slot is going to move into southern Middle Tennessee. Now, some of us are probably going to see precipitation continue. As this dry slot impacts, especially our central and eastern zones, still up in the northwestern corner of, we're talking about Murray County and Marshall counties, could still see precipitation continue through this dry slot period. But just be aware, if we get some breakage in the precipitation, I'm still expecting more to build in later this afternoon and into this evening. Okay, but one thing that dry slots do help out with, and this is good news, is that it can help the temperatures raise a little bit faster. So usually temperatures will stay will take a while longer to warm when you don't have a dry slot, because precipitation helps cool the atmosphere, right? So if you don't have precipitation falling in the sky, that can help raise temperatures up a little bit quicker. So we could see coming above freezing. A few of our areas, especially our southern our far southern and eastern areas could rise above freezing a little bit quicker than expected during this dry slot period. So just keep that in mind that I am expecting a little bit of a dry slot, especially from, Shelbyville off towards the south and east over the next few hours. But we've still seen a pretty good amount of snow and sleet across the area so far this morning, and that freezing rain line is now starting to creep up. About right when I forecasted it to, start to creep up into our area from the south, and then this little dry slot here. That's kind of the one thing that's a little different from my forecast is with the dry slot there. So we'll just have to keep an eye on this here. Again, this is kind of the generalized area where this dry slot is, where there's no little or no precipitation falling, and that's going to kind of glide right over our area as we go into the afternoon hours. But precipitation will quickly build back in, so don't expect a big break or anything like that because more precipitation is coming. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to our view. We're going to go to our camera views here. Sorry, I need to get okay. So we're going to start off at Chapel Hill in northern Marshall County, and you can see a pretty good amount of snow and sleet on the ground here. Pretty, there's a lot of white here on the ground, and then you can still see some snowflakes and some sleet pellets kind of coming across the camera screen there. Temperature of 21 degrees here in Chapel Hill, a dew point of 18 degrees. 21, it's still very, very chilly, and winds out of the northeast at 10 miles per hour here in Chapel Hill right now. Chapel Hill has been one of the areas that has seen the most snow, and we're going to kind of work through from west to east and show how different it looks across the area. Because right here, it's fairly white, and we'll go over here to Cornersville too, fairly white here as well. This is US 31A, Sam Davis Highway. Right on the other side of those hills there is an I-65 in Marshall County, and you can see it's fairly white. There's a good dusting on the ground, maybe a half inch or so. Temperature of 21 degrees here in Cornersville as well. And Lewisburg also seeing a bunch of the same here with widespread snow on the ground. That's a parking lot right there for an elementary school. And then you have the roadway there going into downtown Lewisburg with plenty of snow and sleet on the ground this afternoon. So let's go ahead and look at Shelbyville now. Okay. So here's Shelbyville, temperature of 24 degrees, so a little bit warmer than Lewisburg and Chapel Hill, but dew point of 4 degrees, that's probably not right. That's ignore that. But we can see here that plenty of white here in Shelbyville as well. We had about a half inch of accumulation here at the Duck River Electric Weather Studios so far this afternoon. And with that dry slot coming in, I expect any additional accumulation, additional precipitation once it begins to fall is going to be in the form of freezing rain and maybe some regular rain. Okay, so it's still very chilly here in Shelbyville though at 24 degrees, and hazardous travel across the area with you can see all the roads are white with just a few tracks there from where people have driven through. So now we're starting to get into the area where there's wasn't quite as much. Manchester did see a little bit, temperature of 23, a little bit warmer than Shelbyville, or right around Shelbyville, I should say. Dew point of 21, relative humidity of 93%, and winds light and variable around 7 miles per hour. Now, the next camera we're going to go to is Estill Springs, and you can kind of see the grassy areas right here. Might have a dusting, a very light dusting at best, but just not as much precipitation overall as some of these other communities, especially the further north and west you are, have seen. Because Shelbyville, it's pretty much, the ground's pretty much white at this point, but Estill Springs, not much white there. And we'll go to Mont Eagle as well. There's a little bit of a dusting, but not much there as well. And we'll go ahead and check out Cowan as well. Not much there either. So, the accumulation has kind of missed most of our southern and southeastern communities here with this morning batch of moisture that pushed through and produced widespread snow and sleet across a good portion of our area. And if you remember from yesterday, my snowfall forecast, I had up to a coating, right? Up to a coating for Franklin County, for Giles County, for southeastern Coffee County, because I figured that we were not going to get as much in the way of snow and sleet in these areas. Now, the further north and west you go, so this would be more like once you get towards Tullahoma, Manchester, and then into Shelbyville, we got around a half inch. I had totals around 1 inch, right? So, or I forecasted totals up to 1 inch. And then further up from there, as we get towards Chapel Hill and Columbia, up in that area, we got a little bit more than even Shelbyville did, and there may be still some sleet and some snow ongoing in our far northwestern zones. I don't have a camera in Marshall in Murray County to look at right now because my Columbia camera is offline. But anyway, this kind of paints a good picture of what we're seeing here, where there's a pretty good amount of accumulation so far in our far northwestern areas and then into Shelbyville and down into Tullahoma and Manchester. But then the further south and east you get, there's barely anything at all. And if that doesn't speak to how challenging this forecast has been for us, then I don't know what will. So let's go ahead now and look at futurecast over the next few hours. I'm going to stop this because it is going to go crazy if I don't. So this is starting off at 12 o'clock noon. So right about now, this is what the radar or what the model thinks is going on right now. You can see that the temperature is really off here. So Cowan right now, let's go back to Cowan real quick. It has a temperature of 25 degrees in Cowan. Well, according to this model, at 12 o'clock, it's supposed to be 34 degrees in Cowan, between 32 and 34 degrees. So, like I was saying a couple days ago, you can't take these exact transition lines and exact temperatures at gospel, but it's a good general idea, right? So at this time, I think that most of us are still seeing frozen precipitation in the form of freezing rain or sleet or snow the further north you go. And this paints that idea fairly well, I feel like. So as we go forward in time here, you can see it kind of shows a little bit of that dry slot coming up. I think it downplays how widespread this dry slot is going to be, but just keep in mind that I do expect there to be at least a little bit of a break, probably between 1 and 3 or 4 o'clock, somewhere around in there with the precipitation, which will help cut down on some of the potential freezing rain totals across our far southern and eastern zones. So let's go ahead and take this forward in time here. This is at 2 o'clock. You can see the freezing line here as we start to see some more precipitation build into the region. We have above freezing temperatures for Grundy County, for Franklin County, for Southern Moore County. But then the further west you go, the north and west into Coffee County, into Bedford County, and elsewhere, we're seeing a lot of freezing rain. This pink here, that's going to be freezing rain, okay? So as we keep on going in time here, we can see that that line starts to shift up. This is the transition from freezing rain into normal rain. And I want to make sure that everyone knows this because it's going to be hard to figure it out if you don't know what you're looking at. But freezing rain is the exact same thing as normal rain, except when freezing rain hits the ground, when the rain hits the ground, it freezes on contact with surfaces because the surface is below freezing, okay? So all freezing rain is rain that comes down from the cloud, but then it freezes on contact with surfaces. That's where you get your potential power outage problems and tree damage problems and stuff like that. And travel just becomes absolutely horrendous, when we're talking about freezing rain on top of snow and sleet that's already fallen, okay? So as we go deeper in time here, this is 5:30, still seeing that freezing line there, kind of right along the I-55 or the not I-55, the Tennessee State Route 55 corridor here from Manchester down to Tullahoma down to Lynchburg. And it slowly starts to meander its way on into Bedford County, but it's going to take its time, right? Because by the time we get to 8 o'clock, we're still below freezing in Shelbyville. And then finally by 9, 10 o'clock, we're going to start getting above freezing in Shelbyville, and that transition line continues to push up into Chapel Hill and Lewisburg by midnight, and then goes through our complete area as we head after midnight into early Sunday morning. So we should all be above freezing by, 1, 2, maybe 3 o'clock on Sunday morning, and we'll start seeing widespread rain. Now, this rain is going to melt anything that we have on the roads, anything that we have accumulated, and it's just going to make everything a mess. It's just going to be a wet, soppy mess, okay? That's the best phrase I have to describe this weather system is a wet, sloppy mess. I mean, that's really what it is. And it's been tricky to forecast, but I feel like that the information I put out over the past few days has prepared us for what we're to expect here. So This is the end of this particular HRRR model run. And we can see by 5 a.m. we're still seeing pretty much that transition line just off to our north in um, Marshall County, or in Murray County. Okay, so still seeing widespread rain across the area. Maybe we could still be flirting with below freezing temperatures in Murray County, and I can't completely rule out that we don't stay ice or freezing rain the entire time, but I am at least confident in the idea that we will all transition to rain for at least a brief period. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at the long range HRRR, because I feel like that we should we should look at the rest of the run even after we get done with this one here. So okay, that's 48 hours. So we're going to go forward here. So this is Sunday morning. You can see the transition line with the pinks just off to our north, but still doesn't come back into our area until we get towards 11 and 12 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we start falling below freezing again. So what's going to happen is that low is going to come up, right? And it's going to warm us up, bring rotate some really warm air around that low. And then when that low pulls off towards the northeast, we're going to have really cold air start to rush in behind the low. Okay. And that's what we're seeing here with the transition line starting to inch back in as we get towards Sunday morning, late Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon. So the transition line starts to move back in, but by 3 o'clock, most of the moisture is completely gone, but we're starting to fall below freezing here. So the whole area is starting to get below freezing again by Sunday at 3 o'clock. And then we can see you see that right there? We could have a few snow showers around on Sunday night, could drop down another coating, but I wouldn't get my hopes up on any big snow or anything like that. But there is guidance that supports the idea of a few snow showers on Sunday night after all of the moisture exits with the main parent storm system. So be aware that, we saw some snowflakes this morning. We saw quite a few snowflakes, but more snowflakes may be on the way as we head towards Sunday night. Now, most of us will be asleep. I will probably be asleep when this happens, because I'm going to be awful tired when this system moves out. But the key takeaway here with this is that I'm expecting a transition from freezing rain over to normal rain as we go deeper into tonight and early tomorrow morning, is basically the idea that I'm trying to convey here. And then potentially we could have some, snow showers as we get towards late Sunday night or early Monday morning. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at my updated ice accumulation forecast. This is this is my official forecast here. So the up to 1/10 of an inch ice has increased again. The area has increased again to encompass about half of Coffee County and then a good portion of Grundy County. Yesterday, I kind of shrink that up, but I think it's probably best that we bring that back out. And then 1/10 of an inch to up to 1/4 inch is still expected in our central zones: Bell Buckle, Shelbyville, Manchester, down to Tullahoma and Lynchburg. And then a 1/4 inch up to a 1/2 inch plus will be possible in Murray and Marshall County, especially the plus in Murray County if we don't transition over. Okay, that plus is kind of if we don't transition over, then we could see over 1/2 inch of ice. But again, this is all going to accumulate before we transition over to rain. Okay, there's a good chance with this dry slot that some of our areas, some of our communities in Franklin County and Grundy County aren't really going to see any freezing rain before that transition over to normal rain happens, okay? But for our central zones and western zones, I'm still expecting a pretty good, a pretty good window where we have the opportunity for some freezing rain to fall before we transition over to normal rain as we go deeper into tonight, okay? Like I said, this is just a very messy weather system. Okay, so let's look here real quick. I did want to the Weather Service has issued a discussion that I think would be interesting here to look at. Okay, so they have highlighted our area in an area that is going to see freezing rain. I'll show you that here in just a second. I want to get to everything else I wanted to talk about real quick, and then we'll go back to talk about what's going on right now. So I wanted to bring up this. This is a proprietary model that I have access to that shows the road temperatures, the expected road temperatures, okay, as we go forward in time here. And I think this shows the potential for black ice very well because black ice is going to be a big issue as we head towards Monday morning, Sunday night, late Sunday night into Monday morning with all the moisture left on the roadways from the rain, from the mess we had earlier that day is going to begin to freeze as we head towards Saturday night into, or excuse me, into Sunday night and Monday morning. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this here. We can see where the road temperatures start to improve fairly quickly here, 34 degrees. So anything above or 32 degrees or above, that's where we're not going to see any road impacts. And we should see, the rainfall is going to be falling and it's going to melt away any of the issues that we have on the roads, right? So we can see that expands all the way up to 37 degrees in Winchester. Still says around 32 in Shelbyville. I think that's a little on the low side, probably a little bit closer to 33 degrees with the rain. But when that low starts to spin in the cooler air on Sunday night, on Sunday afternoon, and into the evening hours, we can see the road temperatures drop like a rock very fast, very fast. So we're going to quickly fall from the upper or from the mid 30s into the 20s. And we can see that very well here, well into Sunday night, where the road temperatures are going to support widespread black ice being able to form. Okay, so keep this in mind. Black ice is going to be a big issue on Monday morning with these temperatures falling so rapidly directly behind the moisture or directly behind the main winter storm that's moving through today and tomorrow. Okay, so Elijah's freakout meter. Let's look at that real quick here. Everybody loves this. I'm glad everybody likes it. I think we're going to try to get some shirts made of it too. But still at Lord, she's coming. She's been coming. She's here, right? But we're still expecting widespread travel impacts over the next few hours, and then as we get into Sunday night into Monday morning, more widespread travel impacts with black ice. Okay, nothing is really going to be falling from the sky outside of maybe a few light snow flurries, but black ice is going to be our main concern there on late Sunday night into Monday morning. Okay, so low temperatures on Monday morning are going to be in the teens, the very low teens, 10 degrees for Columbia, 11 degrees for Lewisburg and Shelbyville, 11 degrees for Manchester and Altamont as well. Winchester, 14 degrees, Tullahoma, 12, and Lynchburg, 13 degrees. Okay. These are the lows on Monday morning, not the feels like temperatures. This is not the wind chill, okay? Tuesday, the low temperatures. These are going to be very, very dangerously cold. These are not feels like temperatures. These are the low temperatures, okay? Spring Hill, -4 degrees. Columbia, -3 degrees. Chapel Hill, -3 degrees. Shelbyville, -1. Manchester, 1 degree. Tullahoma, 1 degree. Lynchburg, 5 degrees. Winchester, 6 degrees. And Altamont, 3 degrees. So it is going to be very, very chilly, very cold on Tuesday morning. And I believe this is why a lot of area schools have already called out for both Monday and Tuesday, just because we're going to be dealing with very dangerous cold, and you do not want to be outside waiting on the school bus or doing car rider duty or anything like that when we have temperatures that are this cold, okay? So now we're going to look at wind chills, okay? So this is kind of showing generally the feels like temperature in the air on Monday. So this is Monday afternoon. We're still going to have feels like temperatures near 0 degrees, and if not 0 degrees, then still in the single digits. Okay, this is ridiculous, ridiculous cold. And look at this, as we get towards late Monday night, these wind chill values drop like a rock, especially across our far western zones where they're a little bit closer to the snowpack off to the north. Wind chill of -11 in Spring Hill on Tuesday morning. Very, very dangerous cold. Very dangerous cold. Altamont, -8 degrees. Shelbyville, -3. To Manchester, -5. Lynchburg, -2. And Winchester at 0 degrees on Tuesday morning. So it's going to be very dangerously cold on early Tuesday morning before the sun rises, and then we'll finally start to warm back up a little bit. But still, feels like temperatures, wind chill values on Tuesday don't get above maybe 20 or 22 degrees. So, I mean, it's just going to be very cold. If that's all you get out of this, these two slides here, it's going to be very, very chilly, okay? So hour by hour here over the next few hours, snow and sleet, 1 p.m. 30 degrees, 4 p.m. freezing rain and sleet 32, and 7 p.m. freezing rain and some normal rain, especially across our southern and eastern zones, and 32 degrees. Now remember, these values are averaged out for the entire area. Of course, Shelbyville is going to be a little bit colder than these, okay? As we get towards Columbia and Spring Hill, you're going to be a lot colder than this. But for Winchester and Swanee and Huntland, places like that, these are probably a little bit too chilly. These are on the chilly side compared to where I expect you to be. So just keep in mind that, there's going to be some weird quirks with exact temperature readings compared to what the forecast has over the next few hours, and we're doing the best we can with the data that we have is all that I have to say there. But the forecast has gone very well up to this point, and now we just have to see where the freezing rain kind of sets up this evening, okay? So, just a quick look here at the 7-day forecast. Sunday, 100% chance of snow, freezing rain, sleet, everything in between, a big old mess. 40 degrees for the high. That's averaged out. Probably going to be closer to 33 or 34 degrees for the high the further west you go. Monday, 23 degrees for the high under cloudy skies. Tuesday, 33 for the high, and Wednesday, 34. But you can see it's going to stay chilly. It's going to stay cold, folks. So it's we're entering a prolonged period of cold, and with lows in the single digits and teens expected over the next week. We're going to have to learn how to bundle up. If we're going to be heading out the door any at all next week, okay? And a lot of us are going to have to, unfortunately, to go to work in places like that, right? So just be prepared um, if you have a winter coat still in the closet or something. It's going to be time to grab that back out because we're going to need it as we head towards next week. Now, I did want to bring up real quick here. This is from the Storm Prediction Center, okay? And this is showing the ice accumulation. So this is, let me zoom in here. Hopefully y'all can see this fairly well. So I post these a lot on my page. I'm not going to post this one because I'm live right now, but freezing. So they call these mesoscale discussions. So basically, they show localized areas where they expect hazardous weather to occur. It's basically what this discussion is showing. And right here, it's showing that freezing rain with sleet is going to expand in the pink shaded area, the pink circled area, over the next few hours. And southern Tennessee is directly in this region, okay? Now, it could change a little bit, and I do expect the freezing line to move into Franklin County probably around the time big time freezing rain starts to ensue. But we're still expecting some pretty healthy totals, especially from the central areas of our coverage area over into the northwest across Columbia and up towards Spring Hill, Mount Pleasant, Chapel Hill, places like that, going to see some pretty healthy ice accumulation. So be sure to keep that in mind. I know we haven't had very many issues with power or anything like that up to this point, but as we go deeper into the day and into tonight, when we have freezing rain start to fall, is when that power outage risk, I have it a medium right now, really starts to come into play, right? Especially across our central and western zones where I'm expecting us to stay below freezing for a little bit longer, okay? So hopefully I communicated everything well enough to you. I know this is very confusing and it's hard, it can be hard and overwhelming. It's been overwhelming for me at points sometimes this past week, but I really think that I've done a good job with this forecast and trying to put the best information as possible out there. And we just going to be now tracking when the freezing rain really begins to ensue in a big time way, okay, is kind of what we're going to be watching. So as we can see here, right before we drop off, and I'll look at some of the comments on Facebook and see if anyone has anything to say. But this dry slot here is still moving up into our area out of the southwest, and this will continue to move in over the next few minutes here. And as we go into the afternoon and evening, we have all of this later in the afternoon into the evening hours. I don't have an exact start time, probably closer to 3 or 4 p.m., but we have all of this circled region where the Storm Prediction Center was saying freezing rain and sleet was moving in. That's going to be all of this right here that's going to push up into our area as we get later into this afternoon. So we'll be watching temperatures closely. Surface temperatures, we need below 32 degrees for there to be freezing rain. If the temperature is above 32 degrees, the rain is just going to start melting stuff, okay? So I'm going to be watching surface temperatures very closely on the weather app. If you have the Southern Tennessee weather app downloaded, you can see the current temperatures on the home screen of the Southern Tennessee weather app, and you can see what the temperature is for your current location, okay? So that can help you kind of get an idea of, if the precipitation you're going to see is going to be the freezing rain variety or the normal rain variety once we get through this dry slot. All right, so hopefully the model data that's coming in over the next couple hours will show this dry slot a little bit better, but I don't think this is going to cut a lot into our totals, but just be aware that, we do have at least a little break in the precipitation coming, but it's not the end of the precipitation, right? I would say we're not even halfway done with the total precipitation we're going to see from this event. So let me go in here real quick and I'll see if there are any questions for us here in the live stream. I don't think I'm not seeing very many questions, but I also just jumped in the Facebook Live, so I'm not seeing a lot of it. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in and sticking with me here. I know this has been a very complicated forecast, and I've from the get-go, I said this was going to be a big mess, and there was going to be a lot of different variables at play, and we're seeing that play out right now with all the different types of wintry precipitation that you can imagine kind of falling from the sky. Anything from snow and sleet to normal rain is going to be possible over the next 48 hours across the area. So thank you guys for tuning in, and just a quick reminder that when we get this transition over to rain, it will take a little while for the roads to improve. Okay, so as soon as the rain starts, don't be like, oh yay, I can get out and drive around. You probably need to wait a few hours, right, before the roads really improve when that freezing line finally gets to you and you transition from freezing rain over to normal rain. But we should see great improvement into the day on Sunday before more black ice issues arise on Sunday night into Monday with maybe some light snow showers as well. Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in. I'll be sure to update you on the latest as we get closer. And I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your Saturday. And we may do another live before the end of the day. So, just stay tuned for additional information on that. I don't know. I'm just kind of going at the whim here on what I decide to do. So we may end up doing another live stream. I don't know. But thank you guys for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you for trusting Southern Tennessee weather, and download the Southern Tennessee weather app if you haven't already. So thank you guys for tuning in, and have a blessed Saturday afternoon.
Accurate local weather without the mainstream hype. You're watching the Southern Tennessee Weather Channel.